In December last year, I went to Antarctica with 4 flat earthers and 4 people that know the Earth is a globe. And we determined one thing for certain. The sun circles 24 hours a day, right to left, in Antarctica. Now, we did a bunch of other experiments. I've covered them elsewhere. I'll be covering them again, so be sure to subscribe so that you can see those. Anyway, before we went, there was 24 flat earthers that were specifically invited to go with us. One was going to be given a free trip, but in the end, a whole bunch were offered a free trip, including the Prince of Flat Earth, Eric Dubay, one of the earliest flat earth proponents on YouTube. Now, he was offered a full, all expense paid trip and he turned it down. This is very telling because he himself has said that there is no 24-hour circling sun in Antarctica. Now, after we did this trip, he had a video response. And in the response, I'm going to show a portion of it. He is doing some pretty severe manipulation of his audience. So let's have a look.
The Earth is still a level plane, regardless of any solar observations. The motion of a light in the sky overhead cannot possibly prove the shape of the ground underfoot.
And we get to the manipulation right away. The 200 proofs that Eric Dubay is well known for, he's infamous for, about 25 of them are about the sun and the stars and the moon and things in the sky. And here he has stated that things in the sky cannot be used for some reason to determine the shape of the Earth. Of course, this is ridiculous. You can use the things in the sky to figure out the shape of the Earth. Why would an entire class of science and observations not be allowed? I know why, Eric, because this observation doesn't match flat Earth, and he doesn't want his followers to use that anymore. Now, will he go and amend his 200 proofs video? I'm sure he won't, because he knows that his gullible followers will not call him up on this.
The flat Earth community has long had models that explain a 24-hour sun in Antarctica, including Lady Blunt and Albert Smith's model in their 19th century book, Zetetic Astronomy.
I think this is the most brazen leveraging of flat Earth gullibility I've ever seen. Eric Dubay says that in Zetetic Astronomy, this book here that I have, there is a model for how the 24-hour sun works. I've read it. In fact, the page that he puts on screen is right here. He puts it on screen well enough that you can read it. It's legible. And you can read it on screen, same words here, and I put the link in the description. Anybody can go get it for free. The book is out of copyright. It's not hard to get. This doesn't have a model in the entire book. There's no model for the 24-hour sun. Lady Blunt never presented one ever in any of her writings. She wrote this around 1900. And she did a lot of writing, but never once presented a model for the 24-hour sun in Antarctica. But Eric, as he's so brazen, he knows that his followers will never look. He knows that just because he puts it on screen, they will say, okay, and not check him on that. Flat Earthers, you could check him. You should check him. You should say, what are you doing? Why did you lie about that? So there's a couple things in the book that he put on screen that is certainly no flat earther is going to read. Let me read this one here. It is also a fact that the sun for another 6 months spirals around the southern center. So he's referencing a book that for 125 years ago, flat earthers have known that this 24-hour sun exists in Antarctica. But for some reason, Eric Dubay forgot about it. When he was talking about it for the last 10 years, he never mentioned it. In fact, he denied that it exists at all. And then, now, is there a model presented in the book? And let me quote, whether we can explain these facts is another question. No, there is no model in the book. And they say, Lady Blunt says right there, essentially, we can't explain it. There is no explanation. And Eric Dubay just lied about it.
More recently, Joseph Henvey has also done excellent work constructing a demonstration using lights projected off a dome firmament showing exactly how an Antarctic 24-hour sun works on flat Earth. Using a two-way mirror to demonstrate a superfluid ceiling inside a dome over a flat Earth map, a flashlight is shined down to represent the sun moving over and around the Earth. As the sun circles its way from the Tropic of Cancer to the equator and outwards beyond, there is only one spotlight appearing in the sky.
He actually just said there's only one spotlight appearing in the sky while there's more than one spotlight appearing in the sky.
But as the flashlight widens its circuit outwards towards the Tropic of Capricorn, suddenly a second apparent projected sun appears and begins circling the opposite direction over and around Antarctica.
You'll notice that was going left to right, not right to left. In fact, that was the opposite of what we saw in Antarctica, so this kind of destroys it all. But it's even worse than that. That was on the back wall of the dome firmament that he's saying about, that he's talking about. And the camera is outside the dome in order to do that.
Not only this, but since the projection is only apparent, it is based on the position of the observer.
So I have a similar dome right here, and the observer in that instance is out here, outside the dome. And the circling sun that was circling the wrong direction was on the opposite side wall. It was going on the wall here like this. So when he says it's based on the location of the observer was outside the dome. Now, when we were in Antarctica, we didn't go through any dome. There was no dome there at all. So when he says it's based on the position of the observer, when were we? Well, how does that work? It doesn't work. He's just making up stuff. And again, the gullible flat earthers just bought it all.
So as the camera moves 360 degrees around the outer circumference of the model, the 24-hour sun still circles overhead.
Wait, so now we had to move throughout the day all the way around the 70, 80,000 mile circumference of Antarctica in order to see the sun? That's not what we did. We were in one spot and the sun circled around us in that one spot. And furthermore, it could not have been a dome, because if it was reflecting off the dome, as Joe Hanvey's model would have you believe, then you would see a reflection of the sun. And we checked for that. We took one picture every minute for 24 hours through a solar filter. And not one time did the image flip as if it's from a mirrored view of it. It was always the same direction. And we checked with other people all around the Earth. At the same time, we had people everywhere taking photographs through solar filters to check the sunspots, and they were not mirrored. They were rotated according to how the globe would require them to be rotated, because we're at a different orientation in relation to the sun at different latitudes on the Earth. Flatties won't understand that. Anyway, it was not mirrored, so it could not be mirrored. Further, we checked to see if there was polarization. Dave McKeegan has a really nice video talking about the polarization tests that we did. I'll link that in the description. Anyway, none of that worked, and Eric Dubay he's just unfortunately very good at manipulating people. He's got the psychological scamming down very well. And I don't, if any of his people were actually as woke as they imagine they are, they would kick him to the curb in a second. Anyway, thank you for sticking around. I got more coming up. Be sure to subscribe, and we'll see you next time.